Okay. Holy cow.
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do it. Is it? Oh, there's a good chance. Anyway, wow. All right, guys. So we are going to have to do a little sync clap real quick.
Right.
1, 2, 3.
Oh,
That was
late.
Wait, let's do it again.
Well, you don't have to do it at the same time.
1, 2. All right. Welcome to Leave It on the Line. This is our first ever live broadcast on Facebook as we record. One of my favorite things to do is to sit and chat. So cheers. Chef Paul Tran of Snapchat. You guys...
It's on.
Oh, it's on. It's working. Okay. So you guys got to watch us do our sync clap and things like that. So...
Oh, you want to look at the comments?
No, the comments say, oh, you guys suck. Wait, right there. Just right. I cook better than you. That's pretty much how fast that went down. No. Man. Dude, it's working.
It's working.
So we're chatting. Thanks for coming in tonight on I know we're interrupting everybody's Oscars. How many of you guys are watching the Oscars? We really apologize for interrupting, but do you care?
I don't care. I don't even watch it.
I almost tried. No.
Shit.
Yeah, right? I'm like, okay, somebody else made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So it's not us.
us.
But what? Not us. Cheers to that. I know that. I'm going to tap that table. While we were trying to get to work, we saw Jose Andres in there talking, but I didn't get a chance to really hear that. So I'm going to go back and look at it and just kind of see, what he was talking about. I'm sure it was profound as always. And, what's cool about this is that we're always constantly learning. And one of the things that I've found to be so interesting is that you and I know each other from a while ago. For those that
John 13.
Yeah, 13 came together. And just like Scott Rosales' podcast, we filmed something, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months.
2 months ago.
Oh, yeah. and we had some serious technical difficulty. Yeah. And now you come in, we start messing with it, and we're going live.
First one.
Going straight up live. First one. We're not holding back tonight. I mean, I think what's important is that you keep pushing yourself and keep trying. Yeah. So just let's take us back to the beginning, right? Now, where are you originally from, Paul?
From here in Alhambra. I mean, born here, raised here my whole life. Alhambra, 66, and I mean, my parents are from Vietnam. I mean, I'm the first generation, so.
So you first generation in the U.S. Mm-hmm. So what year did your parents come over?
My mom, 92. My dad, like 30 years ago.
Boom.
Damn, 30-something years ago.
Okay, so wait. You're 92. I graduated.
That's 92, and I was born 93, so.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
yeah, that's good. That's good because I.
Actually, yeah, something like that.
Something like. Well, you know what? I just recently I listened to a guy's stand up, and he was up in UC Davis doing his stand up.
Yeah.
And he was born. He was born in India, but his dad lived here. But his mom, they would visit. Like she didn't get to come over,
long distance.
Like long distance. And they finally got everybody together. So I didn't know if we were going to go down that road then. But what's interesting is that one of my best friends of all time, Kang Bui from Vietnam, family came over. I've always referenced like all my Vietnam experiences. But your mom came over. You were born, well, unfortunately, you were born the same year, almost basically, well, a year after I graduated high school. Way to make me feel old as hell. Old as hell. Now, what do your parents do, and when did you know you wanted to be a chef?
Well, both of my parents worked with my aunt. I mean, a little toy store in downtown.
Now, in Alhambra?
No, downtown LA.
Downtown LA in the toy district?
My aunt had a store there.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, so like for those of you that don't know anything about like LA, what I have found, which has been really wild.
Fashion district.
There's fashion district, there's toy district, art district, flower district. Mm-hmm. There's all these huge industrial like areas that just specialize. Yeah. Like when we first started, when we got out here, and it was a birthday. Gina and I went up to the fashion district to figure out
what fabric, and
like what kind of fabric we were going to get, or what kind of shirts we were going to get by. And we were looking at all these, and like everything is either cash or you need your certificate. It's a fast moving place, but we didn't stop. We didn't stop in the toy district. Probably should have.
Yeah.
With all these kids we got running around. But I mean,
a lot of money there too,
right? For real. But like, so they started and they worked there with the aunt, right?
Yeah. Well, my dad started before that. My mom went and started with the aunt. So my dad started with her. She had auto mechanic business. I mean, she did all kinds of stuff. So, and then after that, but my mom, and then that's when it happened.
Okay. And then you went to school here out west.
Yeah.
When did you decide like it was time to be a chef?
I don't know. It was like, I just went straight into culinary school right after high school. I didn't even have like a break. Like, it was like just a month off, and then after high school, I went cooking.
So you knew?
I mean, I guess.
Well,
my grandma was like, I was a baby, and I was pulling like shit out of the cupboards and started cooking with like yarns and all that stuff too.
So I was
like tiny. Like she said, I was like a toddler. And
yeah, but like now, if we really want to talk about that whole Asian upbringing, like that,
I know
that
it's
is
just in me because my uncles, some of my uncles cook too. I have two uncles on my dad's side that does the same.
But there was no like you need to be a doctor or you need to be an accountant. Sure. Like you didn't let the family reputation down.
My mom was like, "Hey, pharmacist, doctor, nurse, where the fuck?"
Wait, why the fuck?
I should listen.
You should have listened now.
Should listen, yeah.
Yeah, when you're getting that paycheck. Yeah. So for those of you out there, like we know what it's like when sometimes you got to let the family down.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like my parents are pretty cool. Like they're like, just do what fascinates you. So do what you love.
The tough part is that sometimes we didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted. Let's see if I'm gonna click on the live. I don't. Oh, okay. Let me turn this down a little bit. Oh, we got some. Yo, what's up? Jason's reaching out. Ron Kurvasek. Gina's watching. Julio Sanchez. Julio's in the Cayman Islands, right? Julio. Yeah. Zachary, Chef, Tran, what's up, brother? You know Zach?
Hey, from Honda. He was
shit, Zach, what's going on, man? Thanks for jumping on. You know, we can't see the comments on the screen. We got to look on the phone, but we got the big screen in front of us going live. Just trying to figure this whole thing out.
Yeah, first time.
The first times. And what are we drinking? What are we drinking tonight?
We got all kinds of goodies. Oh my gosh.
Allagash is what we had was the first
Allagash
white ale. Hey, Jaden, bring us that holder, the phone holder, so we can hold this up and we can look at comments in case anybody jumps on. What? Do you see it? The fancy one? We'll put it over in the corner. Yeah. We'll put that up in the corner. That way we can watch everybody and we can interact. Now, right at the top, what threw it out, my boy Ron K. I don't know if Ronnie's up still watching us. This is a gift right here. I don't know if you've ever seen something quite as fancy as that, my man Paul. Next level fancy. But that way we can see what's going on. Boom. There we go. Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh. What just happened?
Google phone. Getting real. I got you. Don't you worry about it. Boom. I got Zach up in here. We can see everybody popping likes. Zach was awesome, right? Yeah. That dude. What what he did before he started cooking is he repaired like $50 billion like jets or something in the Air Force.
He was a mechanic.
He was a mechanic. He didn't mess around. So we already started. While we tried to figure out what was on Facebook, while we tried to figure out how to do Facebook Live, we started drinking already. And Paul brought some beers because he didn't want to drink my out of date beer in the fridge.
I'm just trying to get you something good. You
know? Bring in something nice. So we started with some Allagash White, and we're splitting them because we feel like if we split them, it's a lot less calories. Here in the pass me your cup, and it doesn't affect us as much. Now. You started in 2013 with me at the Honda Center. You helped me open it in Shock Top Terrace. Yep. But one thing that I thought was interesting about during your career, like with me, no big deal. But right away, what was nuts is that you had to transfer from one college to another. Yeah. Now, I mean, you and I, we talk about all sorts of fun stuff. Oh, Teresa, what's going on? Teresa, this is my. Please let us know if there's any audio issues. You can't hear us very well or anything like that. That way we can fix it. I got my executive producer in the back. Jaden's making it happen. My big Jaden D in the back. Cheers, brother. So if there's any audio issues, please let us know. But we'll keep an eye out. We sound good out there? If Zach's still on, Ron K, let us know. Going live with the Multi-View podcast. You were in the middle of almost done with your culinary school.
No, I mean, we were done with like, well, yeah, it's true. I was almost done.
You were like literally
I didn't get to transfer because it was like not credited from Cordon Bleu. And all
yeah,
that
you
stuff.
were in Le Cordon Bleu. You heard that they were not going to have accreditation.
Yeah, they got rid of it.
And you're like, dude, I need accreditation.
Right when I signed up, they were getting rid of the associates program. It was just going to be that 1 year.
Loud and clear.
Oh,
Jaden, we're getting loud and clear. So that's awesome. So you almost had to start over to a certain extent. How many? So one of the biggest questions that we get, or I get, is culinary school worth it?
Yeah.
Or does it pay off, or any of those things? And when I met you, you were in culinary school, but you had already worked at like Spago and some really high end places up in LA. So you knew this is what you want to do. You wanted the accreditation to kind of really make it down the road. But or the college degree. Yeah. Now, was that more for the parents, or was that more for
kind of both?
Kind of both.
You know.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So the Asian side of the family, like, yeah, get your degree. And
well, I mean, you know what's funny is that Ken Jeong from The Hangover just recently dropped his new Netflix special.
I watched it.
Did you watch it?
It was hilarious.
What's up, ho? What's up, ho? He was really funny, right? Yeah. The host to the left of me, host to the right of me. But he talks very much about how he needed to appease like his dad and like his family. Yeah. And what's funny is like I knew that we had a rule in my household was like no cops.
No cops for you.
No cops, right? Yeah. And then Kang, his dad was a chef, and like Kang was like, I am not going to be a chef. No way I'm going to be a chef. That man lives there. So like then all of a sudden I become a chef. Yeah. And then he becomes a cop, right? Or a sheriff. And then my dad was a sheriff. And we switched roles sort of. And, you know, I don't know if I know that there was in that age and like you're supposed to go to the next level, right? Yeah. And you're competing with what your cousins are doing and like that next level. It's like everybody's a doctor or a lawyer and you're like, I'm going to be a chef.
Yeah. The shitty is like,
yeah.
Totem pole.
Totem pole. You're like, oh, what did you do? You just closed a deal with like, oh, okay. You made 3 years my salary on your bonus. Yeah. Was it hard or did they support it?
No, my parents support it. I mean, everybody ate good too, you know? So at the same time, they're like, oh, that's what you like. So they can't force me to do what I don't like, you know?
And I think that speaks a lot, right? I mean, it's good that you're able to push that. And they've always been really kind of like supportive for you to do what you're looking to do. But you also are like cut from a different cloth, I would have to say. I mean, I'm not bragging or anything like that on you, but I do have to say that you're probably got your drive to get to that next level is out of control. Yeah. I mean, I remember when we were talking one time and you're like, oh, my goal is I want to be able to drive a Ferrari.
Yeah. Or a Lamborghini.
Or a Lamborghini.
But, I mean, like, since that time, my goals changed, you know?
You're going to get a McLaren now?
No, I mean, I'm looking to real estate, so I'm just waiting. Saving as much money. Buy another house, rent out the one that we're living in now.
And then move up, envelop. Mm-hmm. Well, recently, dude, I always jump down these YouTube channel like rabbit holes, right? And I was watching Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah. And like when he said like your house is not an asset, it's a liability. Mm-hmm. It totally jacked me up. I was like, oh my God, I have zero assets. Yeah. So I think what's funny is if you work really hard, your boss makes money.
Exactly.
But I know a lot of people that have worked for a long time and they've made a lot of money working hard for their boss, right? Depending on how they do it.
Depends how the boss takes care of them at the same time.
Yeah, you gotta work for a good boss, and you gotta be getting better at the same time. So like, I think I interview so many different culinary students and so many different people. I think you got to be sure that you're going into business and finding out how you want to do it, and maybe you learn how to do what you want to do on somebody else's dollar. Right?
Exactly.
That's been my biggest thing.
That's what I'm doing now, you know. I mean, I'm trying out new recipes too, low key, and it's
you gotta continually grow.
It's R&D.
Yeah, you have to have somebody pay for your R&D, right?
Exactly.
And if you can do that, you're good. So you went to culinary school, and when you were with me, you switched off. But when you started working with me in 2013, that's that's 6 years ago, bro.
6 years already.
Already. You were very not green, but you hadn't done a lot of volume.
Yeah, I was not with volume.
You had done a lot of finesse, a la carte.
Like 300 covers, like
max. And we were doing 300 covers in about 35 minutes when we opened Shock Top Terrace, right?
Yeah.
What was the biggest thing that you learned in the experience of opening that restaurant? Because I know it wasn't comfortable, and I know that I'm not easy to work for.
I mean, to be honest, it's not always comfortable. Like right now, opening a new cafe for Snapchat is not as comfortable too, but it's all about like planning and just having a positive mindset and just like, oh, I could do it. And we could do it. It's all about the team and whoever you have around you too. It's about the core.
Yeah, I don't think. I think you have to pick people on the team.
It's not just about
like make sure that they're getting their mark. But I mean, you just kind of blatantly, you're like, oh yeah, for Snapchat, I'm opening this cafe, but you're feeding 2,600 people a day or 2,200.
Our campus is 2,400.
2,400 breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we came by. I mean, we'll be up in LA tomorrow, so I'm gonna come by and get some noodles. Yeah. But like,
hey, tomorrow's Asian food too.
Tomorrow's Asian food too. So like, I went by and checked it out, you all, and people stand in line, and it is absolutely crazy.
It's nuts.
Like nuts. Like
we were doing fried chicken Friday. We did Nashville style. I mean, that one cafe did like 900 people.
900 people.
On top of that other
in
one,
like less than an hour and 15 minutes.
That's bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, and the amount that you get, you're getting 2 pounds of food easy. So your prep is out of control. Yeah. So it's a BNI account. Not a lot of people know about the BNI account.
Yeah, subsidized. This one's subsidized, luckily.
Yeah, that helps a lot because they really want their people to be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, I always you went over to Snap, and it was like Monday through Friday because that's when they work, but it's long days, long hours, and a lot of people say, well, I always, and this is something that I want to kind of point out, like when I first started becoming a chef, or I was going to be a chef, the only options that I knew about was like nights, weekends, holidays. That's 90% of our business, right? Like, but there's these little pockets, these niches, and it's like, okay, you want to work during the day and you want your weekends off, maybe you need to find yourself at a BNI account, like where you're feeding the bank, or you're working at the courthouse and you're running the cafe, and you're able to do, but you're working at one of the most progressive companies that with their, it's extremely progressive. It allows people to get what they want when they want. Yeah. Like their snack bar is better than
like you saw the snack bar.
The snack bar. Okay, so just for you guys to know, snack bar consists of Red Bull, coconut water, Coke, Sprite, lemonade, beef jerky, Kind bars,
Lay's
chips, fire Cheetos, like and apples, bananas, oranges.
Now we're doing fruit jerky.
Fruit jerky.
Yeah.
So are you making it yourself?
No. We buy it.
You buy it.
It's a solely brand.
So like
pineapple jerky, mango jerky.
You're in your cubicle. You're just kicking it, and you're like, man, I'm hungry. I want a snack.
Yeah.
You can just get up and you can have as many Red Bulls as you want, and the best price you can possibly get for a Red Bull is like $1.50.
Yeah.
All day for 2,500 people. So like
I think every 3 or 4 days we go through 50 cases of each kind of Red Bull, sugar free and regular.
50 cases at 12 per case, and that's
I think it's more than 12. I think it's like 24.
Is it 24 per case?
But I mean that's still a lot,
dude. That's
in like 3 or 4 weeks.
Dude,
that's 4 days. Sorry.
I mean, really think about it. Like that's not the employee meal that we would get as cooks.
Exactly.
Like it's a completely different mindset. So I think that a lot of people, and it's changing. Like, so for those of you that just started cooking or that really want to do more in cooking and you're like, but I don't want to lose my nights or weekends, this could be a good option. But we're filming at like 8, a quarter to 8 right now, almost 9 o'clock. Well, it's 10 to 8. And you're getting up in 6.5, 7 hours to drive in and make sure that
early so I can hit a gym and beat the traffic at the same time. But
if you so like well, out here in the West Coast, if you don't actually watch that traffic, it's going to get nasty.
5 minutes makes a difference. I mean, it's true.
Yeah, like if you get on the highway at 6, you're done.
5 minutes costs you like 30 minutes.
Absolutely. And so Snapchat's been a very amazing experience for you. 2,500 people every day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what's the downfall? What frustrates you?
Technically, I have like, on top of what we feed, we have catering on the side now too. So every office could get their own, or department could get their own catering. And we have a new thing every month. It's like a happy hour.
Mm-hmm.
So like 500 people attend to other catering, which our crew has to do too. So I mean, on top of what we feed, we have to feed on the side too.
So you're doing meals for 3,000 people a day, easy.
Pretty much.
And you've got a crew that's ordering it. You oversee all of the products coming through.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one thing. Now, when you and we'll go back to you as a kid, and you're using yarn to make spaghetti and shit like that in the kitchen, and your grandmother sees you cooking, and you're like, I really like to make food. Did you ever think that there would be so much business involved in the fact that you needed to make some noodles?
No, no. I wouldn't think so. I mean, it's crazy. I never would have thought, to be honest. I never would have thought.
What's the toughest part now?
The toughest part is just like, it's just, for me, like, I miss sleep.
Yeah?
It's true. Like, I'm up like 20 hours a day for like 20 hours, Monday to Friday, every day. I mean, it's on the same routine, so it's kind of hard to have like a life outside of work. That's just the hard part.
You know what? I was just recently, I'm trying to run more, right? I'm trying to do more exercise or more anything like that, and I can't get a routine schedule.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I try to hit the gym too at the same time in the morning, but like right now, even I can't. Like I'd rather have sleep than gym.
I think that it's such a wise choice, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think I did enough working out in the beginning, right? Instead of, do you still get the same rush as a line or as a dinner for lunch? No.
Like lunch, no. Lunch is like 300 versus. Lunch is 300 versus.
I mean, like the old school dinner where you did 300 at Spago. Is it the same rush as when you guys get crushed on a?
No, it's not the same. I mean, I'd rather on a line cook as a crush. It's different. It's like time flies so fast. And like for us, dinner here is like nothing. Like I just start doing my ordering and all that.
Okay, so Cheeto, what's going on, man? Okay, so Cheeto is a chef. He's making a comment on Facebook Live right now. Yeah. Welcome. He's up in Denver. He's doing some serious research from a CBD THC standpoint. Paul and I know about that from living in Cali. Phenomenal guy. Yeah. Like, I hope one day, once Jade and I figure out, we're working on doing Skype stuff so we can interview some of the people I know across the country, Ronald James, Cheeto, Julio, in whatever country he's living in, whatever he's doing in the Cayman Islands. And then, just tons of chefs, Igor. But Cheeto was in Dubai, opened like 26 restaurants in a year, or 2 years. He's been everywhere, done it all. And just such a badass chef. And, one of the things that I think so crazy is the fact that he just made the comment, and you can go back and see it. It says, we all think being a chef, it's all about the cooking.
It's not. You got to think about HR stuff, your budgets. It's crazy.
Now, I'm going to share a little bit of your personal experience, like here on Leave It on the Line, because you and I were talking about it. And this is, what's up, Ray? This is one of the things that I think is really interesting, is because you wanted to do more.
Yeah.
You were like looking to branch out. And I said, I looked you straight in the face and I was like, look, man, you can go. You can go and be a sous chef. You can be an exec sous chef right now. I said, but as soon as you do this, as soon as you're going to, it's over.
It's over. And
it's over. And you're like, no. I'm like, listen, like, you've got one of the best cookbook collections of a person besides Chef Richard that I've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
Like, you maintain, you manage it, you do a great job looking at it, and you've seen, like, you watch Chef Table, like, you know who's in the know, right? Like, you know, you're on Le Sanctuaire. If you guys don't know, there's a great cookbook collection on lesanctuaire.com. It's my buddy Alex. He's got some of the rarest cookbooks you can find. It's like, he's so legit.
Find some of that shit on,
right.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need more. I want more. And I was like, as soon as you stop being a supervisor / cook and you go into that management position, brother,
it's over.
You're not going to cook. You're not going to cook the same way that you get to cook now.
Yeah.
It's not your aspirations, your goals, and where you want to go are bigger than a frying pan or a station.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm going to make sure that I don't lose out on that. I'm going to cook. I can cook when I want to cook. Yeah. How is that working out?
I still manage to cook when I want to cook, but it's just harder. It's different. It's on another level now. I mean, it's just so much more paperwork. Like, I got to do catering, cost outs, order for the catering, and it's cooking, but it's like 5% of your time of the day versus like 100%.
Yeah, it is. And I think I was talking about this on my last Facebook Live where somebody was busting my chops on like the top 20. And I was like, once you become a chef, you won't cook at home, right?
Yeah.
Last year and a half to have completely fallen in love back again with that old, you know, black magic of cooking. You know what I mean? Like, there's something that's so mystical, and there's something that speaks to me when I'm in the kitchen. Like tonight, I just braised off some stuff, and I had it all laid out for the family, and it was exactly what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, right? I get to cook how I want to cook at home. And I do get to cook sometimes at work, but I don't get to cook at that same level back in the day when I would come in and the restaurant, the menu was brand.
Prep out your station.
Yeah. There's none of that. There's none of that love for it. And I've had to, you know, one of the biggest mentors, and we'll pause before I go into my mentor. You brought the beer tonight, which is rare that I let my guests bring the beer, but you're like, I need to get some other stuff.
Good stuff for you.
So tonight we just finished some white Allagash, a white Belgian style wheat beer. Phenomenal. Very good. And then now we're going to jump into some Dragon's Milk. This is a bourbon barrel aged stout. We'll see how this one rolls out. Yeah, I think we might have had it
last time.
We might have had this a couple of times last time. And no, we're not going to clean out the glass. We're just rolling right into the next one. We're starting from white and going to dark. And I poured my beer first, so pass yours over. But like I remember I was really struggling. I was struggling a couple of times in my moment when I got to Churchill. And not just from there's a lot going on there, but when I first got there from Miami, we'll just crush the whole thing. You know, I was doing what I thought was the best food. I was working with some really great people. We had one of the craziest crews that you could possibly think of in Miami, just doing all sorts of fun stuff. And what's this? Oh, what's this say? Hi, chefs. Learned so much from you both. Thanks. Oh, that's Elizabeth. Hey, Liz? What's going on, Liz? Jonathan Joseph. Which one is the best barbecue and has the most experience smoking?
And thumbs up to Dragon's Milk. Huh?
Oh, okay. I would probably, I don't know. I probably got more smoking experience than you, just based on doing it.
Yeah.
From a time standpoint, Jonathan, I've got probably more smoking experience.
The Franklin book is helpful though. I use the Franklin book.
I just recently went and saw what's the guy with the little glasses, the barbecue Bible or whatever. I'll have to have Jaden go grab it. He'll have to throw it on. Jaden, put it on the main camera and go grab Project Fire, and I'll give you credit for that. Right there you go. Thanks, brother. It's in our cookbook collection on the bottom shelf. So I'll have Jaden go grab it. Project Fire. I went and listened to this guy talk about smoking and barbecuing and all that stuff. And damn, dude, I know jack and shit about smoking or barbecuing. It's crazy.
It's hard, actually.
But I would probably have to say the amount of product that I've smoked back in the day at Churchill with the crew that I had was I've smoked tens of thousands of pounds of meat for sure. So it's definitely something that I've worked on. Yeah, pass it over, buddy. Project Fire.
Project Fire. Huh?
Yeah, this just listening to this guy talk. I don't know if I can't show it because Facebook will probably pull me down or something like that. But Project Fire was just listening to this guy talk was absolutely. And he's a #1 salesman or author for barbecue and all this kind of stuff. But what's weird about him is that he's not a chef. He wanted to get a grant and stay in Europe kind of thing. So he started to study medieval cooking and thought it was like, he wrote back to the college and they paid him to study food that was made in Europe.
Yeah.
And I just was like, okay, I didn't even know that was a possibility. I thought if you wanted to learn about cooking, you had to go work for a chef.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't spoiled like my young buck over here where he could look everything up on YouTube. So,
there's an entire channel dedicated to 18th century cooking.
Oh yeah, there's a chapter or channel.
Channel.
Yeah, there's Jaden's telling us there's an entire chapter dedicated to channel. Yeah, dedicated to 18th century cooking. What's it called?
It's something in Sons, like it's town.
We'll try to link
it up later.
Here we go. Someone just asked
talking about depression, huh?
Depression. Here's the deal. I'm going to tackle this, and I'm so glad you're here to listen to this about depression in the industry. There's a lot. When I was talking about when Anthony Bourdain passed, it was a lot of people were devastated, right? And I stopped really following Anthony when at some point when it just kind of became extreme mainstream, right?
Yeah.
But it's still devastated. It was still devastating to a point. And I'm always going to go back to the one that affected me the most, and that was Moto Cantu. Like Cantu was just the executive chef of Moto in Chicago, Homaro Cantu, and he took his own life, and it was just, dude, that ripped my heart out, destroyed me. Because a long time ago, back in the day when I was much younger and cockier and full of life and spit and vinegar, I thought I was going to destroy the universe and be this crazy person and just do as much as possible in the culinary field. And American Airlines was featured in Fast Company.
Yeah.
And it was myself, John Nicely. What up, chef? John Nicely's the first chef I ever talked to. The side note, the channel is called Townsend's, but we'll throw a link if we can later.
Yeah.
But so Nicely was there. Bucco had just left, and he had gone opened Charlotte Arena. So it's myself and Double D and Karen and Alex and myself, Sean and Igor. We were all there, and Fast Company came down this huge magazine profile on all of us.
Yeah.
And then they put it out. And on the cover was Homaro Cantu. And this is when Molecular was just blowing up, and he was on David Letterman and all that stuff. And I got put on the the title page. So like where you flip the magazine, you flip it over and it's got all the chapters and stuff on it. There I am wearing like this black beanie Fast Company issue with Homaro Cantu. And dude, I thought I won an Oscar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and like we like the article was great. The article was flattering and like it talked about us, and it's got nicely holding food, and it's got Daniel doing something, and it had us all standing in a circle. Like that was an incredible group of chefs that we were working together. And then you fast forward, and like when we moved out here 2013 or 14, he took his life.
Yeah.
And I was just completely lost about the fact that how could you do that, right?
Yeah.
You got to do everything that I thought was amazing. Everything that I thought that I wanted or needed in life, you were doing, and it wasn't enough for you.
Yeah.
And
he was up there too. Business and all that stuff too.
Yeah, and like I mean,
that just shows how much like dedication like a chef puts to his work.
But here's the thing, like just 2 days ago, an amazing stand-up comedian, Brody, and I can't look it up because my phone's pulling up comments, but there's an amazing stand-up comedian at Brody. I can't remember Brody's last name, but he just took his life. And if there's two things that I think that, then I'm still, my wife busts my chops about that. Gina's always like, fucking do it. I've always in my whole life wanted to be a stand-up. Like I guess I've ran from like true passion. Then I found cooking and I thought, but like now it's coming back and it's like, come on, just get on an open mic and talk some shit. Just do it. Just do it. And, you hear comedians talk about him in a way that they just admire him.
Yeah.
And he did it too. Robin Williams. And, but I think depression, but for me, for those that are listening, here's the deal. I think that there's not much of a difference between a stand-up and a chef.
I think every industry has their own downfall,
Oh, for sure. I mean, here's the biggest difference, right? We're not 9 to 5s.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, and the more I listen to, like, I love listening to Joe Rogan's podcast or Tom Segura or like Bert Kreischer or Joey Diaz, like I listen to all these podcasts with all these stand-ups. And you know what? They talk about themselves with other stand-ups the way chefs talk about themselves with other chefs.
Yeah.
And no one's ever, until you walked in the shoes of a chef or in a cook and you worked in the industry for a while, not 6 months, not a year, but like for a minute, long time, then it really, you kind of know what the deal is.
Yeah.
And so that for depression, I think a couple of things. We accept everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people have like come in and they're like, yeah, I'll do it.
And how many of those people walked out? Yeah.
But the ones that stay,
exactly,
they find it. It scratches their itch. So I think it's tough. I mean, like, what do we got here? I'll be saying that 27 years in a small town in Western Pennsylvania. Coincidentally, I am starting a podcast. Okay, good job. Keep it up, dude. Get on it. This is our first live. So we film a lot of these and we talk about a lot of different subjects, but now we're just doing it live on Facebook at the same time. We just want to see what kind of people think about it and if they have any questions. Yeah. But the depression side, I think, for us is that we're adrenaline junkies that work crazy hours.
16, 17 hours.
Right. And like that feeling that you got working the line at Spago, have you been able to replace it? I mean, at Shock Top a little bit, but not really because you were in charge.
Exactly. It's not the same. It's not the same. I mean, before it's just like firing, like fire this, like let's go, push. But I miss that rush, to be honest. Like I kind of want to go back and push myself. It was not just like fish station. It was fish station, fry station, wok station. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Come in at 3, prep that shit in like 3 hours and 2 hours, and the service is ready.
And that shit was always busy, right? Spago was always busy,
especially in weekends.
Fuck, dude.
That was wild.
How much did you see Wolfgang?
A couple times, probably like 4 times.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Considering, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's his baby, Spagos. He probably goes a cut and Spagos a lot. But I mean, that's his main baby right there.
Did you think you made it when you were like cooking there? And you're like, fuck, this is it.
Nah, I feel like I was in the shit. I was like, hell no.
That's just not for me.
Oh, hell no. It was wild.
I'm still looking for it, you know? I still have moments. I still have moments where, like, you know, we got our faces ripped off a couple of nights ago with a busy concert, and I was expoing, and the craziest thing is when you get the opportunity to expo, it's just like, as the executive chef, when you're expoing, it's like the closest you can get. You don't expo because you've got the banquet. You're just filling these, like, people are just rolling through the cafeteria style. So I was jumping on expo, and brother, man, it was like the old days. And like, I didn't have tickets hanging around my neck, but
you got the feeling back.
But I was like, God damn, I love this. I fucking, this is my jam, dude.
Yeah.
It's so cool for what we get the opportunity to do sometimes, right? Yeah. And then it's like watching the team struggle through it and push and work their ass off to get that next sandwich out. And then, like, you know, they miss a temperature and then it comes back and they're like, almost like we just took it in the face and now we're in the 10th yard line and we got to push it back to the 50th. I think that there's no feeling like that orchestra for the whole process. Do you know? Yeah. I think that it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, favorite part about the business that kept you in it, worst part about the business that makes you want to leave?
Best part. I mean, the rush. You don't get the same feeling. Like, everybody comes up, oh, your food was bomb and all that stuff. That's the best feeling. I mean, but then the worst feeling is like, you don't have a social life after. I mean, you're working like 16, 17 hours, sleep for a couple hours, and next day you're back to it. That's just the worst part.
The grind.
The grind.
I think your working out is what's helping you with the grind.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's the only thing that's motivating me, like the workouts. But it's like every day, 3 o'clock, boom, work out, go to the gym, start at 6, get out at 7 p.m., sit in traffic for 2 hours, and take like a 5-hour nap, and back to it.
Back to it. And then on Saturday, Sunday, you get to do what you want, though.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want on Saturday and Sunday. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Starting Friday at 9 o'clock, but you're exhausted as hell.
Yeah. It's
like
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can handle, but when it gets to Thursday, Friday is when I start crashing. Like, I need that sleep.
I think the toughest part for me was the waking up.
Yeah.
And going, what day is it? It doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if it ends in Y or starts with like M or T, or it doesn't matter, because like every day you're working.
Yeah.
And the craziest part about that is,
all days start with one.
Can I pause this for a restroom?
Go ahead. Right, I'll do a little. You go ahead. It's crazy. You're like 4 beers in. You got to hit that restroom. I'm gonna give a little free solo on this. One of the biggest things that I struggled with was the fact that every day always didn't matter. And then when I finally got a day off, all I was doing was playing catch up. So like I'd work, let's say we work 10 or 15 days straight. And when you work 10 or 15 days straight, you kind of get used to it. You get used to the rhythm, the pentameter. You get home and you just like, it's late. Maybe everybody's already asleep and you're like, okay, I'm just going to have a little bit of snack. I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to get up in the morning. And then as you get older, your kids get older, right? So they're not waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and watching Dragon Tales. Now, I just dated myself with some Dragon Tales, but like you can input Paw Patrol or whatever you want to do, because my kids range from 18 to 9 now. But it doesn't matter. Sesame Street, Electric Avenue, whatever you want to do. You wake up, you see the kids, you see the wife, girlfriend, whatever it is, boyfriend, husband, and then you're like, okay, I need to get back to work by 10:30 or 11. If I can get it at 11 o'clock, my day will kind of be normal. I won't be so behind the 8 ball. And then you work, you get your prep done, you check your email, and then boom, all of a sudden, I hear that heater bopping. It's dinner rush. And this is something that I just recently, I was recently listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan and Scott Umph, which is the world record squirrel suit, these wingsuit divers, right? And he was talking about what he loved about, he was a SEAL team expert. And he was on the SEALs for a long time, and he loved the way war made him concentrate 100% on the moment. And when he was describing his interaction in conflict, he's like, it boiled it down to a moment or to a second. And I was like, wait a second. I'm not trying to equate like putting out a chicken piccata to being shot at. Let's get that straight right now. But what I am trying to say is that when I had first started line cooking, a buddy of mine, Sean Herrmann, love you, brother. Thanks for being there for me for all these years. We've been friends since like 4th grade. We were sitting there, and we were both newly married. Gina just had the baby, had Colin, and Lisa was about to have their baby. And we were talking, and I was like, dude, the only thing I can tell you, that the reason why I love my job so much is that no matter what trouble I have, what problem that ails me, what's bothering me from a stress standpoint, any of that, all of a sudden, as soon as the first ticket, maybe not so much, but as soon as I've got 5 tickets on my rail or in front of me, or 5 things that I need to do, my vision compresses into this like hyper focus.
Yeah, it's gone.
And
you don't think about that. You just think about,
you don't think about the shit that's bothering you. You don't give a fuck about nothing outside that room. You don't think about anything except what you need to execute.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, for
what's
me,
up, John?
Hey, Parago, what's happening? That, for me, is what speaks so highly about what chefs or cooks do. Not chefs, because chefs are like executive chefs, like me, executive, where you're like, when it means executive, like you should bring a briefcase, not a knife roll.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like when you're running a place, like you're on that line, and all of a sudden you've got those tickets. It allows you, it gives you the opportunity to forget the other problems.
Yeah.
And I think why we struggle as a group is because it's extremely hard. And I can't wait to hear you're 20 years younger than me almost, right?
Yeah.
My perspective is that the reason why we struggle so hard as a group that deal with depression is because we have an entire theater or stage that allows us to hide from it. Mm-hmm. So I can come in and I can prep. Yeah. I can get everything done. And it depends on the station or the place that you're working, but I can fill my day up with meetings, brother.
Yeah.
I can get as many meetings in all day, and then all of a sudden we've got an event. I can be on the line.
Meetings, write-ups, and all that other bullshit.
And then, boom, all of a sudden you're on the line. You're on that action spot. Yeah. And then all it does is consume your brain, mm-hmm. and then your body's exhausted. So when you get home, what happens? You eat something and you pass out.
Yep.
So when you wake up, you're like, all right.
All over again.
You're like, boom. So it's like the gerbil on the wheel. And the only time you have to deal is when your legs are tired and you can't move the wheel.
Yeah.
And when you can't move the wheel, everything comes crashing down.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's so hard. So from that first question, like, why do I feel like chefs have a hard time in the industry, right? Or why is depression so tough? Is because 2 things happen. One, we accept everybody, doesn't matter your problems, right? And
because once you get in line, like, nobody thinks of anything else. Like,
boom.
Just execute your food and all that stuff.
And then when it's done, how do you come down, right? We go out and have drinks with everybody. Like, and that's, I mean, there's a lot of people I follow, and they say things like, there's this whole like fair kitchen movement. I'm totally behind it. Hell, I've been running my kitchens in a fair kitchen way for a while. You know, like I give you guys the opportunity to make recipes and stuff, and I gave up to being the dickhead a long time ago. Well, you can ask Matt when it finally went away, but like we got to get Matt on here. But I finally gave up being an asshole, you know, a long time ago, and I'm still an asshole. But I just recently filmed a shift drink about being an asshole, and what it takes. But, dude, think about it. You could escape reality for 6 months and look up and be like, oh, what happened?
Where the fuck's the 6 months?
Oh, it's like tonight when we went inside and we were just waiting for the computer to reboot. And like we're like, oh, shit, the Oscars is tonight?
Yeah.
What?
I didn't know.
I didn't know. What's Peter saying? Oh, yeah. He's saying it's such a great high.
It's a great high.
Peter, you're 100% right. It's something that I don't think people talk about. I think we romanticize it.
Yeah, it's like addiction to us, you know.
Yeah, but
it's
like
a different addiction. Like people don't get it.
But you're a cog in the wheel. You're not moving many wheels, and you only get paid for the problems that you solve.
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's really tough.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense from a standpoint. You get paid for the problems you solve and the things that you fix.
Yeah.
If you're a saute cook, what do you like? You're not buying a Lambo.
Exactly.
It's impossible.
It's hard. I don't know.
What's your take on the industry paying shit? Do you think it's really paying shit, or do you think that you gotta find yourself the right spot?
I think it's both. I mean, you just have to. I think for me, like you asked me, like what drives you and what's your dedication, and like for me, like before I would say like, oh, I'm gonna get a Lamborghini and all that bullshit, but I mean, what drives me drives other people differently. Like, what do they want? Like for me, I'm 25 running like an $11 million account. Like it's different. Like some people at 25, they're not doing shit. They're playing video games.
Okay, at 25, I was not running $11 million, brother. Yeah. I just started.
It's crazy. Like, I don't know. It's just a drive that's different from everybody.
You're 20. When you started working for me, you were 20.
1920, yeah.
Yeah, you turned 21.
Yeah.
Like they took you out.
Yeah.
On a crazy bender.
Yeah. For a community,
okay.
huh?
What a community. All right, let me see more. Hold on. Ah. Oh, okay. All right, so I pay I think you I both, you pay more than I do, like up in LA. LA is paying.
For Santa Monica, I pay dishwashers $15 and cooks $18.
But they also get benefits. They also get 401k. They also get dental. They get food.
Everything.
And I would say that from a part-time, a venue that only has 160 events, we're at the top tier of things that I've ever seen in my entire career. Yeah. And we pay really well. We have a lot of wonderful things going for us as a company. So we're not bad. And then all of my food that's left over from my venue.
Mine goes to church.
Mine goes to food bank.
Yeah.
So like Food Finders comes and grabs all of our stuff.
Yeah, mine goes to church.
So Jonathan, Joseph, double name. My brother would be super proud. John David would be like, yay, 2 name brothers. But it's his first name is John David. Yeah. That's how you know how redneck I am. We do a lot to cover the community, especially because we have such. We have when we're done after a 5-game streak, we have them come after 3 games. They pick up a lot of stuff. And then after when we close down, they pick up a lot of stuff. And
I think my church comes after every service, so we come lunch and dinner.
Well, they probably could, right?
Yeah.
And like if you guys in that area where you're at, where Snapchat's at, that's a perfect area for people to come locally.
There's a lot of homeless, and it's pretty sad to see all these people in Venice just laying around.
Venice is not as bad as Skid Row, but it's getting there.
It's almost there. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and like Skid Row is off the charts, right?
It wasn't that bad earlier because of Snap security, but now like all the security's gone to Venice. It's back.
Yeah, it's like we're in a different.
It's crazy because before we would have some guy shit right in front of our front door, like or back door.
Yeah,
and then now like I'm sure there's shit everywhere.
That's one of the things that you never think about as like. And I was recently watching. I recently was watching something on YouTube about like the homeless situation that Philip DeFranco put up, and they did a deep dive into the homeless for Skid Row. And there's a guy that's really kind of their spokesperson, and he was talking about things that the toughest part is like he's like, this is a public restroom, and he pointed at like this concrete wall, and he's like, because they don't have a bathroom. Yeah, and you're like, oh, sad. Damn. That's crazy. I never even thought about that. And then there's a large percentage that don't want to be like in the homeless and like that want to be homeless that don't want, like it's a very complicated problem that we have in California, especially with the weather, right? Yeah. It's cold right now. Cold. It was, well, for us, it's cold. Like I'm wearing like a hoodie and like this is a winter coat, but like it's a problem for the homeless in New York and Chicago when it's like 4 below 0. Yeah. Us, it got down to like 36, and people are like, oh my God, that's like the springtime in Chicago. So like, I think that's the tough part. I mean, from a chef standpoint, you have to pick what's going to allow you to give the moment to give back, like, and what you can do. And some chefs build, like I've interviewed and helped a couple of culinary students here recently from the culinary lab. Their entire objective is that their restaurant feeds more homeless people than it does paying customers.
That's good. Ryan, huh?
I mean, think about that. Like, your business model is built to feed more homeless people than paying customers. Like, that is, to me, is like amazing. Yeah. And I'm kind of upset. Not upset. Like I'm disappointed in myself for not having the vision. Like, you know, I was going to be the guy that had a chef. Like, look, I'm doing podcasts. I got chef shirts. I'm like all ahead of the stuff. But when I heard somebody go, oh, I want to have a restaurant that feeds more homeless people than it does patrons. Like, so for every homeless person or for every customer that buys something, I'm giving extra well. And I was like, so you're doing, and I tried to generalize it. Yeah, imagine the reward of that. Like, imagine how good you would feel. I tried to generalize it. I was like, oh, okay. So you want to be the Tom's shoes of the restaurant world. Okay, cool, do it. But would you have thought about that?
Not honestly, no. I think restaurateurs is all about like revenue,
and profit, right? And I think that that's the toughest part is like because revenue, and profit drive our business. Yeah. Like I get 4 emails every day that talk about like the latest and best franchise quarterly report. Who's doing what from a trend standpoint? What are we doing with drinks? Blah, 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 blah. How are you going to sell the customer? What's the new technology? And then when she said that, I was like, damn. That's all you want to do. Yeah. And that's not, like, there's been multiple, like, from a perspective of why they want to do it, why they want to do it, why they want to make the restaurant, and what makes them feel better. And they're all like 5 years younger than you, 4 years younger than you. I think that the millennials are getting a bad rap on that because they're trying to build a business that makes a difference inside the industry. In my world, it was like, go and get a job. That's a trade that you can go anywhere and do anything.
It's different.
And then you, right? Growing up, first generation American. Like, are you going to be a lawyer, doctor? Like, nope. I'm going to be a chef. Yeah. And they're like, whoa, God, disappoint me.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. You're like, I'm going to go to college and get a degree. Oh, you're going to get a degree to do what we always do. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah. And then I listen to people that are like, oh, my mom's they own an amazing taco restaurant, and this is what I want to do with the money that we make. And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, we don't have enough of that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the mindset, right? It was like retire with the gold watch.
Yeah, it's not.
Work 50 years and you get your gold watch and you're done. But for us, that's what's your retirement plan?
I don't know. I bet be retired by 40. That's all I'm telling myself.
Bitch, what do you mean, but retire by 40? Are you going to zoom in on his face and see if he's lying?
No.
What do you mean, retire by 40? How are you going to do that?
That's my goal. I don't know.
What? Like how are you going to do it? Tell me so I can take notes. Are you going to bring me some more Dragon's Milk? This shit's more expensive than a 12-pack of Miller High Life, just one bottle.
So savings.
It's an asset. It's not a liability. How are you going to retire by 40?
We'll see. I mean, I have other things planned, you know. But, I mean, I have stuff. I'm playing myself, you know. Like, for me, I'm stuck at where I'm at. I'm executive chef. What's my next level? Do I go GM? Like, what's my next 5-year goal? Like you told me what was my 5-year, what's my next 5-year?
Yeah, what happens when that's go. Tell me.
Like,
Tell me what's your next 5-year.
Like, do I give myself 2 more years and open my own thing by I'm 30 and then keep opening from there? Or do I stay where I'm at? It's hard. Like, right now I'm stuck in the middle. Like, I'm executive chef. That's where I'm capping out. Where do I go next?
All right, I just recently, executive chef, director of operations.
Yeah.
And amazing. I love it. I got a great team. We're making changes. We're doing things. It's crazy. I mean, there's 2 things that happen that chefs struggle with because because we're so loyal, not loyal, but like we still pay. We pay backwards, pay forwards at the same time, right? And when I did the Facebook Live like a couple of weeks ago, like I don't even know, it was like last week. I was just drinking beer and I was like, man, I want to talk to somebody. And I threw that Facebook Live on and like we got some people on there and they were asking questions. Here's the deal. What's funny is the fact that every chef you work for, you get something to learn.
Yeah. It's true. Every chef is different, though.
Every chef is different.
Yeah.
But every chef, every cook, every dishwasher, every person you ever encounter in the kitchen, you're standing on their shoulders in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like whether you want to work that way, whether the fact that you don't want to be like them, all of those things. And I owe so much to so many people. It's ridiculous. And I was recently like, you know, when I stepped up, I owe so much. Like, I would have never had this job if it wasn't for people that I worked with previously. If I wouldn't worked for Julie, I wouldn't have this job.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. And, like, I owe that to
I owe that to you, too.
Right. So, like
it trickles down. Like, I mean, you taught me a lot from that 3 years that we worked together. It was a lot. Like, I see you as my mentor. Like, everything you taught me, showed me, talked to me about, I mean, it's all happened. And I took that, too. To heart. And
well, I drink a lot, so like I got lucky. I was like the lottery with you. I said some shit that I got lucky with, right?
Nah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Well, like I think that here's the deal. I don't want you to ever struggle from a standpoint of the mistakes that I made, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I did that last Facebook post, right? Like where I just went live and I was like, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's just see what people want to talk about. And I answered some questions and I rambled and did whatever. And we were like 45 minutes deep, but I think what really mattered is I brought up some people that like, there's a guy that I did not mention and then I regret that I didn't mention. And so I'll bring up Byrne now. There was a guy named Byrne that worked with us at Levy Restaurants and he passed away. And, you know, this is the best way I can describe Byrne to you is that he worked for he got his job with Gil Logan at Churchill, and I had only heard about him because he went to Jacksonville, Florida, and then he came up to help and support Derby, but I had never met him. And then I had worked a couple events with him. He was he was really, really like, I'm not as good as he ever will be as far as production. No way. And I would have to say the same thing about 99% of the people I worked with. This guy was just, I could give him a 4-ring binder of fucking BEOs and he would just be like, okay, bro. And he'd like smoke his cigarettes and he'd fucking knock it out. And I was working on, I had to change it up. I had to do it my way. And it was, there was a lot of learning curve for me. It was a lot of learning curve for the people that used to do it. And Byrne came to me one day and I was wearing these fucking 5'11" tactical pants. And I wore them all the freaking time.
Yeah.
And this is Byrne, right? Byrne has always like supported, always given me like 190%. And here I am at, I think it was, can't remember if it was a Derby or if it was Ryder Cup. It might have been after Ryder Cup. And I'm wearing these 5, and he's like, dude, those pants, they're really cool. And Byrne had like this huge, thick German accent, right? And he smoked continuously. And he goes, those are cool pants. And I'm like, dude, they got knee pads. You can get down on your knees. And before you can get down on your knees, he's like, oh, that's how you got your job, huh? And I was like,
damn.
That is why I love where we come from.
Yeah.
Because like, he's like, you're just a douchebag. You know, he didn't let you believe in yourself so much that you forgot that you only make food.
Yeah.
And I think if it wasn't for people like Byrne and Sam and like all these guys, like you can't take it as seriously as the violin music that opens Chef Table.
Yeah.
And for me, that takes it as seriously. Like, dude, I've got my son filming and like he's doing the production for this entire episode as we roll live, right?
Yeah.
And you can't take it as seriously as the violin intro to Chef's Table. But at the same time, if you don't, you won't be successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the shit that really messes with me, right?
Yeah.
Like, look who just joined.
Hey,
what's
Caesar.
up, Caesar?
How you doing, brother?
Like,
hey, we miss you, bro.
Yeah, we miss you. Like, if we were on Instagram Live, he could join, but I don't know how to link all that shit together. What's funny is that fact that we, like, right now, there's a passing of a torch of some point, right? I've stepped over, and I'm now the executive chef.
I just woke up.
Of course he just woke up. He's probably fixing to go to work, right?
He's getting ready.
What is today? Sunday? Yeah, he's going to work in about 45 minutes. He's going to produce about 3,000 meals and drop them off.
He just did that. He just woke up from his rest right now.
Oh, is that what it is?
He's going to keep going.
There's a passing of the torch at some point, you know? And I think that okay. Before I pass the torch, where are we going? Anderson Valley Bourbon Barrel Stout. Holy shit. Malt beverage aged in wild turkey bourbon barrels. Dude, it's 6.9% per.
What was Dragon's milk?
Dragon's was like 11. I'm like lit. Like, we're Rocket Man. We're going. Let's do it, bro. Let's do it. I'll open it. You finish your little spot, and then we'll finish it. So we got to pass the torch, right? And how do you pass the torch? That's the tough part. Who's the person that works in your kitchen right now that you could pass it to?
For me, I don't know, to be honest. Passing the torch. To do what I could do, I think it's Chris. I mean, he used to be executive chef, but I think we have the same mindset. So to pass the torch to him, I mean, it's hard. you don't even know who to pass it to sometimes. You don't know who could take it or not, I mean, I'm overseeing 4 cafes. It's a pretty big job.
It's $11 million.
Yeah. That's a pretty big job.
And it's not the problem is that it's not really what we signed up for.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how I do it sometimes.
Dude, I watch your Snap. I'm like, if you guys want to follow Chef Paul Tran on Snapchat, what is it? Paul Tran or something?
The underscore Paul underscore Tran. I mean,
yeah, like he Snapchats like bullshit like traffic.
Yeah.
At like 5:45 in the morning, where he's like just sitting there.
I'm sitting there. I'm stuck in like 3 hours traffic a day at least.
Oh, do you get anything like special on your account for working at Snapchat or no?
What's that?
Do you get anything special on your account for working on Snapchat now?
I don't really get nothing special. I mean, so Jaden asked me if I get anything special at Snapchat. I mean, I don't really get anything special. I mean, it's just the vibe that we get. People come up to you like, "Oh, thank you for the food." I mean, I'm on the food email Snap. There's this email, the food email.
You don't need to drop the food email, but
yeah, I mean,
you almost like they're
almost
gonna start.
did.
Yeah, you almost dropped
that. Almost did, but I can't.
No, but like where you work, and this is, I think we need to go back to that. This is not a hotel. This is not a courthouse. This is not. When I say you do employee meal for 2,500 people, you do the employee meal for 25 of the brightest people in the country. Like, granted, they don't work for Google or Apple or anything like that.
It's almost up there.
But it's up there. It's Snapchat.
It's up there.
And whether you want to hate on the app or not, it's fucking Snapchat.
They're still going.
It's still people are blowing it up. It's like
their stock's going back up. I mean, they're doing good so far.
No, they're doing great.
Yeah.
Like I think what Snapchat has earned its right to be is like the villain.
Yeah.
Like it's the underdog, no matter what. But it's been the underdog for what, a year, 2?
Long time.
Like fuck,
ever
man.
Since Instagram came back up.
Well, Instagram stories gave Snapchat.
That's right.
I mean, it's totally devastated. Like Facebook. I mean, like we're doing Facebook Live tonight, but like we've only, we got some viewers, but it's not like it's more than what I get on Snap because you don't do Snap Live. You know what I mean? Like, so Snap is what Snap is.
Yeah.
But I know that my oldest son uses Snap all the time to talk to all his people.
Younger generation.
Yeah. So you don't want to be where your parents are. My kids don't want to go to the restaurants that I went to.
Exactly.
You want to do something different. So I think you're feeding. You work for an organization that is in the future.
Yeah.
So like your job is to
it's not going
feed
back.
those minds.
It's not going down anytime soon. So.
No, I wouldn't worry about like where it's going to go. Not at where you're at.
Yeah.
And like the benefit is that you really get to do whatever you want. But
yeah,
the problem
pretty much
is
I could do any menu. Like I could do Indian menu, any type of menu, anytime. I mean, menus planned 2 weeks out. I gotta get it approved by my Gotta get approved by my other fellow chefs, and I mean other people. I have 3 cafes, so each cafe does their own menu. 606. I mean, now it's Sheila and Carly. They do their own menu. Budget. Look at what the menu's like. Budget it. And then the other menu, which is 30-40. I mean, you gotta look at it. Budget it. Now that we're not doing dinner in the other one, how much we could spend. What's the menu like? How do we split it between this restaurant and that restaurant because they're so close? It's hard. I mean, you gotta see like how are we gonna split up this like population between Santa Monica? Like this gets this much, this gets much. Like it's like 500 split at lunch. So it's pretty crazy. Sometimes you got menu plan and staff plan, and it's crazy.
And then it doesn't work, or does it work?
It works. It works sometimes. I mean, if you're doing Asian here, you gotta do Latino here, or something else.
But I think that's what I was like. What? When I went to your place and I showed up and it was time for lunch, all of us went through as a family, right? Like they would they got all the food and they checked it out. And then you're like, okay, they're eating. Let's go see what's happening.
Yeah. And I took him to a different venue, which is the outdoor barbecue.
Yeah, but like it was completely different.
Yeah.
It was like bacon wrapped hot dogs and sweet relish. And then like 1,000, like you had the In-N-Out type style burger. And like
they want that fast food type.
Fast food. I don't want that healthy shit. I don't want gluten free. I don't want vegan. I want fucking,
and we have a lot of that
burger and
shit.
cheeseburger.
And we have a lot of shit. Like
But and then you had that, and you're like, hey, let's go over to this other cafe.
They have options, you know.
That I'm building another cafe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, for who? And you're like, oh no, for the people that we have.
Yeah.
We're just not doing as much as we're gonna split it up. We're gonna divide it.
Well, now that barbecue's gone, it's just split like evenly because I got to plan a menu right. Like we're doing Asian here, we got to do something else here.
So you're running 4 different menus for 2,600 people a day.
Yeah.
I think the toughest part about that is that when you started out, did you think you'd be running a cafe? Like a lunch menu for a bunch of...
I didn't think so. I mean, I started as executive sous. I mean, I thought she was going to be there for a while. And I was just going to help her out. But, I mean, she's gone. But
She gone.
She gone. But now I'm just doing everything. I mean, it has its fun. I'm learning a lot. And I didn't expect to learn what I learned now, like in such a quick timeline, you know.
If you could go back and pick a point where you postponed it, like literally put it on pause and got the opportunity to do something or for a little bit longer or just a little bit different, what would it be?
I mean, for Spago, we closed down for 3 months. I would have been jobless for 3 months. I mean, I would have done that longer.
You would have stayed? You would have seen how the reopen goes?
Yeah. I would have stayed a little longer at Spago's.
Yeah, but that's how, like, that's funny. So how long did you work at Spago, for those that are listening?
Like, it was 3 months for their...
Yeah, but so they closed their doors for 3 months.
Yeah, to do a total remodel.
But you couldn't afford to stay broke for 3 months.
Yeah.
So that's what brought you to Shock Top. That's what brought you to the Honda Center, right?
Yeah.
So if you would have stayed and just rode it out,
I put it with stop. Probably still would have been cook or
yeah, you would have been. Well, like no telling, like your drive and your ambition would have brought you where you needed to go, but you would not, like literally would not 100% be sitting here in our studio / garage / production studio of t-shirts and hats and all the things that you order on E.C.O.com. You guys check us out, extremeculinaryoutfitters.com. But you would not be here.
No, I wouldn't. I mean,
and that's
crazy.
what
What's life about, you know?
That's
crazy.
That's what makes me go, holy shit, right? Like that's what blows my mind is the fact that Spago closed.
Yeah.
And you were like, all right, this is shit. I can't afford to not have a job for 3 months. How many of the cooks went and found something else or did something else and went back?
To be honest,
I
wasn't really close to other cooks, but I mean.
But how long have you been there? Like 6 months?
No, 3 months.
3 months. Oh, shit. They didn't even know who you were.
Exactly. I was a piece of shit.
Yeah. You were just some young ass kid that was like there.
I didn't give a shit, you know, learning. But after that, I started like, oh, shit. I picked myself up.
You know, the only reason you ended up in Shock Top is because of Matt.
Yeah, I know. I heard you told me a couple of times, Matt. He's like, me, I mean, Annie and Sheila should have been in like commissary. Caesar should have been in JD.
Yeah. No, Caesar should have been in Sweets.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny how things work.
Yeah. I mean, and it worked out.
I mean, I think that like a lot of things in the culinary industry work out for like who you're supposed to work with.
Yeah.
Like it'll find its way. It'll work its way. It'll make it right. Now, you started culinary school. You left Le Cordon Bleu. You found yourself at Orange County, Art Institute. You got your degree there when they still had accreditation, but they're closed.
They're gone now.
They're gone now. And
the building that we're occupied is Art Institute before too in Santa Monica in LA, and they're gone now too.
And the Art Institute, okay, so the building that you just took over.
We took over in like December-ish.
Yeah.
So like November, December.
So that's another art institute that's gone. And next week, I have one of your old instructors. On March 7th or 9th, we're going to do a little bit about we're going to talk in depth about, for you guys that are watching, we're going to talk in depth about culinary schools, his objective, why he thinks this is the best. It's one that I talk to, I teach, and try to help out as much as possible. I think
Ryan taught me the most too. Ryan and Michael.
Well, they're both working at Culinary Lab. I'm going to see their asses on Wednesday doing a front of house experience at Solani's.
They're both that taught me a lot too.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. Like they really know how to educate. I'm not saying there's anything bad about the other ones, but like they're still doing it, right? And hell, Chef Jennifer Menincello was on earlier. She taught one of your classes, and she knows the girls. She used to be their executive chef from
Menincello.
Like, so I mean, like there's a lot of tight
knit industry.
No matter what you do,
it's a small industry.
And like no matter what you do,
everybody.
Yeah. No matter what you do, even if there's like fucking 2 people watching, there's still 20,000 people seeing what you do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what you can lose focus on most is that you're working and all of a sudden you think that it really doesn't matter. But everything that you do matters in the kitchen.
And it goes on and on.
You're only as good as that last little plate you put at, that last little response that you make as an employee.
Exactly.
Now I mean, it cost me money. And like making a stupid. Yeah. Like it sets you back.
Full blow.
What does that mean? Oh. What does that mean?
I don't know, to be honest.
He's okay. So we got Josh Shepard asking us on Facebook Live right now.
CIA if you go full blow.
Oh, CIA if you go full blow, and your parents cover your travel to.
I wish I could do that, but
okay. Here, seriously, let me pause. You can zoom in on my eyeballs on this one, Jaden, but I'm gonna tell you right now. You can just say, if you can go to CIA. And your parents pay for it. Yeah, you don't have to, Jaden. Thanks. And someone's gonna pay for your stage where you work for nothing. You don't even have to go to Copenhagen.
Not true.
Dude,
Thomas Keller, anybody.
Anybody. You send out 47 resumes, 40 and you're gonna work for free, and you have no worries.
I would do it.
I'd like Shit. Hell yeah, do it. Do it, Josh. Right? But. It will only put you on the next level.
Exactly. It's on your resume.
Like,
resume. I mean, you fucking work for Thomas Keller, that's...
game over.
It's over. And you work for fucking anybody. Anybody. I mean, it's over. You work for Jose Andres.
Yeah, like, Jose Andres, who was doing, like, we were talking earlier. He said his ass was on the fucking Oscars, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know what he said, but I'm sure he's talking mad shit, right? Exactly. Like, he's like, hey, I'm the baddest chef ever. That chef just he didn't make food for the Oscars. He was wearing a tuxedo talking on the microphone. Where you at, Wolfgang? Like, you catered it, but you're not the guy speaking at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's over.
Mic drop.
Exactly.
Mic drop.
You don't need to know more. Like, they're the biggest in the game right now. So, I mean, Renee, if you work for Renee, I mean, it's over.
And he's like, you know what? My restaurant, I'm going to close it. And then I'm going to open restaurants that have the same name in different parts of the world.
I'm going to close for 3 months, and I'm open in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the fuck?
I just took all my clientele.
Exactly.
Could you imagine?
And they go to Mexico. Like, what the fuck? They'll pay the money just to go to Mexico, just eat at your restaurant.
Okay, so Scott's on. Glad you got okay. Yes, Mike. Okay, Scott did a couple of okay, we're gonna jump back and forth. Scott's like, I'm glad you got the new mics working. So like the last time Scott was on, these did not work. So hey, Scott, making progress. That's why failure's not an option. Laugh out, embrace it. And then Josh is just totally busting our balls a little bit right now. We got to figure out how to zoom in or put this on a big screen, right? He says, you have a place to live. Whatever is great. You like, God, he's typing fast. His thumbs are big as shit, I guess, apparently. Like, I don't even understand what he's typing right now. Has that, I have a friend working for Keller right now. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, like, if you're working for Keller and you put that on the resume,
it is what it is. I mean,
boom.
Boom.
You're like,
come on, Bennu and all that shit up in San Fran. Like, it's big right now.
Look, Richard.
Yeah.
Chef Richard, El Bulli, Gordon Ramsay.
Exactly.
Like, I got a guy that's fucking, he's worked at every
fucking
spot.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned a lot from him, too.
Chill as, I can't get him on this show. I cannot get him on this show. Like, I've asked him so many times, hey, we're going to film any of these. I'm like, here's 97 days that actually work for the opportunity for you to be on this show. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll get back.
I mean,
nothing.
Richard taught me a lot, too.
Richard, he's legit, like, right? Like, I remember his tasting, super phenomenal, right? And he worked at El Bulli,
fucking
Gordon Ramsay, like, fucking, he started at, not Acusa, Azor? No. Starts with an A, it was in Spain, it was before El Bulli, it's, like, legit as shit. Arzak. His first restaurant was Arzak.
That's fucking top shit.
Like, when you look at that cookbook and you're like, wait, hold on a second.
Yeah.
You didn't? That's where you started?
Yeah, Arzak.
Wait.
Some wild shit.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second. You started on the top of the mountain? You like...
Wait.
How did you start at the top of Mount Everest? And he's like, right? If I was at the top of Mount Everest, I would stay there.
Yeah.
And like, he totally downplays it.
Yeah. I mean, he's humble. I mean, gotta be humble.
Gotta be humble. And like, if you've been humble and you learned, but you got to see the future at the same time.
Yeah.
That's the tough part, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm working on my humbleness right now. I'm working on a day at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to change my perspective. I'm trying to make sure that, I'm trying to make sure that you and Caesar have someone that allows for you all. But here's the problem. You all to see where to go. Here's the problem. You and Caesar are outrunning me. That's what's happening, right?
Yeah, but it's different though. Like, we still come to you as what do we do from now? Like,
yeah, but
like, at the same time, we still see you as our mentor, which is, I mean,
that's okay. I'll take that because what's funny is that
no matter where we go, we still see you as our mentor. Like, it's always like that.
All right, hold on. Does it really matter where you start since you can always move up?
I mean, I always see where I'm down. Like, I'm always going to see you as my mentor. I'm not going to always, like...
Right. Well, I think I always see Phil and John and Ronnie and John, like, Jay Will as my mentors.
Yeah, it's like...
and Gil and Sam, like all these guys, like I go back through Daniel, like I go through these Igor, like I go through all these mental checklist of like who's the mentor, right?
Yeah.
And there's always so many people that make it so easy to like go, okay.
It just depends on how our hustle is, It depends on the hustle.
Yeah, but like Caesar's making like freaking 2,000 meals a day.
Yeah.
On Sunday and Wednesday. Yeah, every 2 days. And like I can make you I can show you how to make 2,000 meals, but I can't show you how to make your own business.
Exactly.
That like gets 25,000 likes on a post for like Instagram.
Exactly.
Shit, if I could do that, we'd be selling a lot more hats.
Exactly.
I'm still trying to figure that part out. What is this? Josh is saying something. Josh Shepard, love that you're still commenting and posting, because Josh has been on with this for like the last 35, 40 minutes. What's it say? It says, but it's, okay. Oh, fuck. Sorry, everybody. We're still, like, God damn it. There we go. Luck of the draw. But his family covered him, but I tell he worked. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I staged at a couple places too, but I mean,
dude, staging is hard.
it's hard.
Like, okay, and I always talk about this, but it was only 2 days. But it changed my life. It changed my career. It was a pivot point. And I think staging is important. And like, I think that everybody needs to stage at a place.
You just learn how people do things differently, you know? Everybody does things differently. Wolfgang does it differently. Michael Mina does it differently. Like, everybody has his own style.
Dude, when I staged at Norman's in Miami, I thought I thought somebody shot me in the face when I got out of the car and I was in heaven.
Yeah.
He had a cooler that was only like fucking 50, like it was like 55 degrees or some stupid shit. His entire cooler was dedicated to herbs or some dumb shit. Like, it was like, what?
Yeah. Everybody does shit differently.
You put all your herbs in a hay basket?
Yeah. That's crazy.
And I'm sure I've talked about it on other podcasts, but like, I walked into a cooler and the guy's like, "Oh, dude, yeah," and he's like, "Look, this is how we hold like tarragon and basil," and I'm like, "What is this?" And he's like, "We put it all in wire baskets and like with hay."
Trust.
And I'm like, "What?" Like, we had one cooler in my place that you could stick your arm. You know what I mean? Like, you could stand in it, but it wasn't a walk-in. It was it was not even 5 feet tall.
That's crazy.
And like, when I showed up there, I was like, shit, this is next level. They made me stop cooking and go outside so we could pre-shift so the dishwashers could pull up all the mats and sweep the floor before service.
Start picking them fucking herbs.
Don't get those herbs. Put it down. Put it down. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. Go outside. Let's go outside. We need to talk about the menu. Everybody, okay, cool. Everybody got their cigarette. Everybody's lit. Okay.
That's our new thing too. Like, I got to pre-shift everything. It's allergies. It's a lot of allergies. I mean, I remember Denise. Remember we cooked for Denise? Like, those allergies.
16 allergies? Yeah, I remember Denise.
It's crazy. I mean, that's a lot of allergies, like, popping out.
I mean, allergies is a new level, though.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
Allergies is a new level.
It's pretty sad, too.
You got... If you look at it from the standpoint of Denise, it's pretty sad.
It's sad. It's like 16 different ones.
Like, she's allergic to avocado, so we could only and olives, so we couldn't use olive oil or avocado oil. We have to use grapeseed oil.
Yeah.
She was allergic to salmon. No.
Nah, she wasn't allergic to salmon.
She wasn't allergic to salmon. She was allergic to like
shellfish.
Yeah,
shellfish.
And she could only have potatoes, but she couldn't have rice.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
She was allergic to gluten, and she was allergic to like broccoli.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And so, like, when she would go to a restaurant, the only thing she could have was meat and a baked potato.
Yeah.
And then we designed a couple of menus for her.
Like, yeah.
And then when she came in and sat down, she started crying at the table.
And then, we try to accommodate her too, you know?
Yeah, like, we listen to the story. And, like, I tell this dumbass story like every time we have an orientation. It's not a dumbass story, but it's like it's
just who we are, you know. Like, we try to take care, make people happy, bring them to another level. Like, it's about hospitality, like you said. This is a hospitality business, so we got to make people feel like where they belong. But we take it to another level. That's just what we do. It makes us feel good, you know?
Do you know why I take allergies so seriously?
It's because your son.
No.
No, you don't think so?
No, I know why it's because I take it so seriously, and I'll tell you the story. I didn't tell it at your orientation because, like, I was too... Okay, so when Paul started working for me, like, it was 2013, and, like, I didn't do the speech that I give now at all the orientations that I get an opportunity for food and beverage. And I haven't done one in a while because of the new role. But so, like, the only thing I wanted to be ever was the best chef that ever walked the planet, right? And I grew up watching Julia Child and Yan Can Cook and Justin Wilson and and then Food Network blew up a year and a half before I started cooking. So I was like, man, I want to talk in front of camera. I want to be world famous. I want to be Emeril Lagasse. Little did I know Emeril was like a baller. Like, this guy was a fucking genius when it came to flavor profile. And like, he never, ever, as far as I know, especially the way that I was treated, like when we did a dinner together, like he never let flavor or ingredients falter. So here we are. I'm in Johnson & Wales, North Miami, and I'm literally going to school to learn how to be a chef, and I want to be the best chef I could ever be. And it's time to take a dining room class. And I'm like, I could give zero shits about the dining room. I don't want to, could care less how we serve the food. But, I want to be a great chef, so I have to know this, right? But I was so nervous about being a server. And because I didn't want anybody to make fun of me. I didn't want us to get called out. And the group of people that I hung out with, Ronald, I'm just calling you out right now, and John right there, and Tad, all these guys, well, okay, we're at this camera. Like, all these guys were completely like, they would fucking bust your balls.
Yeah. I mean, being a chef is all about front of house too.
Right, yeah. It has to be, right? Yeah. But if you got a 94 and they got a 97, you'd hear about it, right? So now here we are in dining room class. We're all wearing our vests. We got our bow ties. We're all zipped up. We're doing what we need to do. And what's funny is it was extremely nervous. And the guy that was teaching the class was a guy named Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis taught all the classes for dining room at the Providence campus. Oh. And he retired and moved to Miami. And they opened a North Miami campus. And they're like, hey, can you come out of retirement? And he's like, I'll do it. He had like 4 hip replacements. This son of a bitch wouldn't even get out of a chair. He had a cane, and he berated you across the room. So if you made a mistake, he ate your lunch, and he took your little juice box out, and he's like,
got carpet out and everything.
Yeah, and he just fucking jacked your shit, like, right? He didn't need to, like, he metaphysically punched you right in the fucking forehead.
Yeah.
And he made us carry like trays out in the parking lot. He did all this wild shit. Like, it was crazy. And I didn't want to get made fun of. Yeah. And I didn't want to, like, I didn't want John. I didn't want Golan. Golan was the exec, like, he became an exec chef for Morton's, like, right out of school. I didn't want these guys to be able to bust my chops, right? So here I am. It's my first day, and it's front of house service. And we had 2 kitchens that fed the dining room. It was international cuisine. I went over to the left, and I still don't remember the chef's name, but I did my first. You do your orders, and like, you take your order, and you're like, what would you like to drink? And it's like fucking water, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Pepsi, right? And it's a 4-top or whatever the fuck it was, and I deliver it. And then I go, what do you want for an appetizer? And they have the menu in front of them because they're eating out of the international cuisine, and they can have carrot soup. They can have fucking, like escarole salad. They can have this stupid endive salad, whatever the fuck, like some poor student had to make, right? Yeah. And this girl goes, is there any pork in any of these dishes? And I go, you can have the carrot soup, because I know, because I've already taken 4 labs in the culinary world, or 5 or whatever it was, that you can't put any animal product in a vegetable-based product. Yeah. Because it's supposed to be vegetarian. So I'm like, okay, well, you can have the carrot soup. Yeah, it's fucking, but dude, fucking hold on a second. This is like 97, 98 or some stupid shit, 98, 9, whatever it was. Like, this is before, we're in 2019 right now, right? This is 20 plus years ago. And I go, oh, you can have the carrot soup. Remember, I don't want to get called out. So like I'm answering questions like I fucking wrote the book.
Like you know that shit.
I am.
Yeah.
You get what? You want carrot soup? Gotta get the carrot soup. Gotta get the carrot soup. So I fucking roll out. I write it out. Put it in the fucking wheel. Put it towards the chef. Go outside. Drop off the drinks. Go back inside the kitchen. Grab all the food. Go back out to the dining room. Drop all the fucking food. And then I go back into the kitchen. And I'm walking away from the table, man. And I'm like, shit. I just dropped all that food off, and I didn't ask anybody.
Asked pork or not.
If it had pork or not.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, okay. I'm going to go ask the chef. And the chef had cooked at, like, he started when coal was the fuel option, not gas or propane, coal. So this motherfucker had been cooking since, like, 1936.
Yeah.
And I go, chef. And he was like intimidating. He worked for he worked for Ritz. He was like a goddamn constable for like the French European consulate for chefs and like everything. And he ripped my face off. He's like, what? And I go, is there any pork in the carrot soup? And he's like, yes, the carrot soup tasted like shit. So I put ham base in it.
Oh, fuck.
So I go out to the fucking dining room. I'm like, I'm sweating like a coal, like I can feel it. I can feel like the icicles dripping down my forehead. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, oh my fucking God. And I go to the table and I look at this young lady and I go, I am so sorry, but I just was notified that there is pork
in the carrot soup.
And I look down at her bowl. Do you think there's any carrot soup left?
Nope.
Not a drop. It's like blah, 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 blah. She licked it like it was she was gone. Yeah. She I think she drank it out with a straw and then wiped it with bread and ate it. I was only gone for like 2.5 minutes, man, and it was fucking gone. And I was like, okay. And she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna take my purse and I'm gonna go to the main office and they took her to the hospital in an ambulance or something ridiculous. So that is why I take allergies so serious. Yeah. I almost killed that girl. And so like, here's where it gets really sideways. Chef Davis is like, Mr. Davis is like, everybody get in here. This is the end. And the next day he's like, get in here. He called all of the classes, all of them. And he brought them into our dining room and he told everybody how I messed up. He destroyed me.
You fucking made you feel like dirt.
Dirt? I almost killed somebody. I should feel like dirt. Yeah. The number one thing that all chefs have to do is protect the guest.
Yeah.
It's not about your vision. It's not about like you want to like get rid of ketchup. Go suck somebody's. Shut the fuck up. Like your number one goal is to make sure if somebody comes in your establishment that you can protect them. And if they tell you they're allergic to something, then you goddamn better focus on it.
Yeah. And that was Denise. I mean, we focused on her too.
Yeah, like that's what we did for Denise. And what happened with Denise?
Nothing happened.
She had happy. A meal, and the reason why she cried is because she felt like the first time in her life
that someone took care of her. Like,
and that's everything you and I set out to do, right? That's the shit that we should write stories about. That's the shit that people should talk about.
Yeah.
If you could talk to somebody that just started in the industry and you had 2 minutes, what would you tell them?
Shit, I don't know, to be honest. It's either you can make it or you don't. I mean, it's a hard industry. I mean, it's a hard industry. Like, if you have a drive for it, do it. If you don't have a drive for it, don't do it. Like, think about your future. If you just got a high school, if you want to put your mind to it, do it. You're not going to have a life after this. I mean, as a chef, it's hard to do what we do. I mean, that's all I got to say. I mean,
Let's see. I'm looking up. I'm looking to see. We lost connection. Like, I don't. Oh, it's back. We got 9 people following us. Okay, we're back up. We're back up. Sorry, guys. We had some technical difficulty. Oh, shit. Got sideways. We went from 9 to 4 to 3. That happens.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Cheers, brother. Holding on strong. Anderson Valley Bourbon Barrel Stout, malt beverage aged in Wild Turkey bourbon barrels. Totally feeling it. You know, this is our 1.45 going into the podcast live, and we're going to split this up, put it up on the YouTube. Paul, you worked for me for a while. You're running your own place now. We got, you went from one school to another. You have big aspirations. You got people on here wanting to know some of the insight. What is the biggest thing that you felt that's been positive for you? Is it the working out?
No, I mean, like, I feel successful. I mean, I've got what I got. I mean, I started from, like, I feel like I'm in the same, like, region as in a doctor or something. I mean, I'm making good money now. I mean, I make my parents proud, so that's my proud moment.
That's the tough part, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if
oh, sorry about that.
So if you had to rephrase that one more time for Gerardo about your parents and feeling proud, what is it?
I mean,
can you hear us, Gerardo? Give us a thumbs up.
I mean, I feel like I've accomplished a lot. I mean, I made my parents feel proud. I mean, my cousins are business owners, doctors, lawyers, and all that bullshit. I mean, I'm up there as in chefs, you know? Where do I go next?
Yeah, that's your tough part, right?
That's my tough part. Where do I go next?
You're running a BNI account for Snapchat. Where do you go next? You put out 3,000 meals, making dollars every day, work Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Where do I go next? Like, do I open my own business?
Thank you, Gerardo. I think the tough part is that I would do this shit for free if I could get away with it.
Yeah. I was updating my housing on that bullshit. My car and all
but
that.
like, what up, Victor? Like, Victor worked with me in Indy. My biggest trouble with the fucking job, right, is the fact that when we work this job and we want to get better at it, you get further away from the part that you love. And I know that we went deep on this earlier, so I'm not going to dive up in it and scratch its booty hole. But what I'm going to tell you is that it's the tough part. But, like, you want a businessman, you want to take care of your family, I really do think you can run arenas, you can do some serious shit, you can do some stuff that, like, you can open restaurants, you can do that. Like, look what Cheeto did, and look what, I mean, we've all opened stuff. You're doing well. You're doing really, really well for yourself. You're 25 years old, and you're laying down some serious paper, and you're running a great cafe. You're building restaurants. Like, you just finished your cafe. We didn't even get into that yet. And then what's next? Like, do you run your own business?
Yeah.
And, like, I think 96% of us get in this job to run our own business. That's why that's why I produce hats and up, right? Because I know what provides for the family is what I'm, like, seriously talented at, is feeding a lot of people at once. I get on an elevator with 9 people. What's your favorite? Fuck, I want my hot dog to be as good as my filet mignon. What's your favorite thing to make?
I was like, what the fuck? Like, I do everything. Like, I mean, as long as I make people happy, I mean, that's my favorite thing to make. Like, what other things do I have to accomplish? Like, you guys are happy, you guys give me compliments. Like, that's the best feeling.
That's the only feeling, right?
Exactly.
Like, if you get the opportunity to make the food that you like.
Exactly. Like, I could make Indian cuisine, fucking Asian cuisine, like anything I could ever imagine of. Like, Snap gives me they give me the freaking freedom to make what I want. Like, I can make anything. As long as you guys are happy, I mean, that's it.
Like, people that are happy are great. Gerardo wants us to do 4 shots before a podcast. Jesus Christ. Next time we're going to have to bring in some... What, you know what? We'll bring in next time. We'll just do a hookah. We'll just do a fucking straight up hookah. We're a family show, Gerardo. As much as we try. The whole idea is for us to be able to complete a sentence. Yeah. Like, could you imagine if 2 chefs got on here, like 4 shots in, and then started drinking? It'd be like blah 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 blah. I think that our industry is in a weird spot. And I'm interested to see, do you think it's going to be as popular as it was last year, as it is next year? Or do you think it's on the rise or on the decline?
I think it's on the rise. I mean...
Do you really feel... Okay, hold on. You feel like being a chef is still on the rise?
It's on the rise. I mean, look at all the shows on Netflix. Like, everyone's going crazy for it. Like, Chef's Table and The Final Table.
Yeah, did you watch that?
I watched The Final Table.
Okay, do you still watch the reality shows and all that? Like, do you still watch TV about cooking?
Not really. The only thing I watched was, like, The Final Table. I haven't even watched The Chef's Table.
Like, 6 people have told me to watch The Final Table. It's supposedly, like, legit. It's pretty good. It's really good.
It's good. I mean, The Final Table's good. I mean, The Chef's Table, I don't really watch unless I like the episode, like Tickets, about tickets, and all the other shit. Like,
dude, that book, Tickets, is supposed to be phenomenal. Yeah. About the brother.
Yeah.
Because...
The Roca, I mean...
not Roca, but... Adria.
Adria's, yeah.
The Adria brothers. Yeah. Because, like, there's 2 brothers. Yeah. There's Ferran and... Albert. And he is the guy... Albert's the guy
Albert's supposedly the guy that made everything up, man.
And then the Ferran is, like, running around talking about it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Albert could do what Ferran needed to be done. Like, I think they're symbiotic. I think they're, like spinning around, yin and yang. Yeah. On a relationship standpoint. And I think that's kind of like, that's when the relationship becomes circular, not momentum.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think you could do what you could do if you didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I could not do what I could do if I didn't work for the people before me. But these 2 individuals, like, there's a continual motion, and it's almost like what the best equation. Okay, you want a visual of what a chef's relationship is like with the industry? Then watch Mario or Luigi throw a fireball and it, like, spin and hit the ground, right? It's continually spinning and hits the ground and then it goes up higher, right? And I think that's what I think of about our relationship, right? You make me, like, think things over again, and we hit a tortoise shell, like, like, there's a bounce to it, right?
Yeah.
But it's spinning at the same time, right? Jaden, does the fireball spin, or am I tripping balls on Nintendo? Like, that's really good job, Jaden. Jaden says that it might not spin with his
Well, yeah, but it's...
I swear that the fireball spins.
Yeah, but it doesn't go on forever. I think it...
And, like, it goes off the screen, but it does spin, right? Yeah. Anybody out there listening, Daniel, what's going on? Guy I grew up with before I became a chef.
I have
nerd speak. Oh, shut up, Gerardo. It's not nerd speak.
I have a very reliable source.
Like, everybody played Mario.
I have a very reliable source speaking on the matter, and then they say that the fireball does spin.
The fireball does spin. That's what I'm talking about. So, like, there's a spin to it, and then there's an evolution, right? I stood on your shoulder, like, you stood on my shoulders, but I stood on shoulders before you. But, like, Ferran and Adria on El Bulli, these mofos, there's no way that they could do what they did and create the best restaurant in the universe in the 90s without each other.
I mean, they're the best. They were the best in the game at that time.
Dude,
it's crazy.
Do you remember, like, well, fuck, you were like 19 years old.
Yeah.
I bought at, and Chef John nicely will equate to this, but we bought the fucking El Bulli cookbook only in Spanish because that was the only version that we could find.
Yeah.
And like we both could read Spanish. He was much better than I was, but that's the only way that we could actually get the cookbook. And we bought it in the Spanish version. We brought it in and we got like the caviar. Like it was hard to translate a recipe because there was no Google Translate. It was like, hey, you don't know Spanish? You better call somebody.
You're fucked.
You're
fucked.
I remember we recently we bought a cookbook a couple of years ago from Alex, and it was like a 3-star Michelin.
We put the
we put the Google Translate on it, and it, like the name of the recipe was like Pussy Willow, and we're like, I don't even know how to make this. Like is that a real translation? Like, and then the metric system was off, and like we had to work backwards.
Yeah,
but it gave us the idea.
Yeah.
So we sat on their shoulders too. And I don't think we give a lot of credit to those guys that, look at you coughing. I don't think we give a lot of credit to the guys that are making it happen out there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's tough. So cheers to all those chefs out there. We've gone through we've bounced all over with our first Facebook Live, first YouTube Live. Like, well, no, we didn't YouTube, but we'll throw it back up on YouTube. I mean, we went through and we said, you started at one school, had to jump to another. You worked at Snapchat. You worked for me. You went off a little bit and started telling them about what you wouldn't do and would not do. Yeah. Here's one thing. What is the biggest failure? Because we talked about what you watch on TV and things like that. What's the biggest failure or the biggest thing that you feel like you've learned the most from?
The things I learned the most from was... What did I learn the most from? I mean, obviously, learned the most from us at the Honda Center. We learned everything, and what I felt was that it was hard for me at Staples, to be honest.
Yeah?
Staples was the hardest. Like, I felt that. Like, I left after a month. I couldn't take it. Like, the union and all that stuff. It's just, the management part was what I failed at, but now I learned how to deal with it. But maybe because it wasn't union, but that was the hardest part. I mean, I left after a month. I couldn't take it. I just left. Turned my badge in the same day, and I was like, fuck this.
Do you think leaving from Staples was a cop-out? Or do you think it was like, this is not for me? What was it?
It wasn't for me. Like, it's just, like, to be honest, like, the shit you deal with. You know how union account works.
Oh, yeah, I totally know, but
I couldn't take that shit. Like, it's just like people going to union reps and like talking shit about this, about this person, that person, favoritism and all that.
Yeah.
It's different.
So when you left, did you feel free or did you feel like you failed?
I felt free. I left Staples. I mean, I went to Patina, and from there I kept moving on.
When I was just recently talking to an employee or like a person that needed some advice, and I was like, what do you really want to do with your life? What are you looking for? You know, and if you guys want to watch you want to watch a crazy video, watch Jocko Willink. Like, look it up. Jocko Willink. Good. And it like starts out with some and he's like, they always ask me when we do a bad job. I say, good. And then they say, you always say that.
Yeah.
Oh, we are not going to be able to make it for service tonight. And I always say, good. Hey, tell me, we're not going to have this mission. And I say, good. Because we get to plan more, train harder, and be better. And I say, good. And I'm like, I listened to it, and like that was my best impersonation of Jocko Millechek. But like when I listened to it, I was like, holy shit. Like that's our mantra as chefs, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, when you quit something, I'm like, listen, sometimes failure or moving on to some other place is what you need to do. Yeah. And Staples Center is no joke. It's an amazing operation. Like it's crazy. Like the building is phenomenal. Like they have four professional teams, WNBA and NHL, and 2 NBA teams plus concerts. Yeah. Like they 5. Do like 370, 80 events a year. They host the Grammys.
Yep.
That's my alma mater company.
Yep.
And I love everybody that the people that worked at Levy Restaurants were phenomenal. Great people. It wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me.
How do you not take that as a failure?
I mean, I took that as a positive. I mean, I moved on. I mean, it took me to see where like I should run an operation to where I should run operations. I mean, now I'm doing way better.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's a good.
Exactly.
Because when you looked at it, you could see what was good for you.
Exactly.
Right? Failure is good.
Exactly.
And I recently just did a podcast, and said, failure, embrace it, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And like, I think that the most important thing is that you have to know what's good for you and what's bad for you.
What does it say?
At what point did you realize you just had to say, fuck it? And this is from Jordan Ryan.
I mean,
like, okay, so that's a tough one. Oh, Jess, what's going on? Jess Harnett from Firehouse Sports. I was supposed to call him today, but we were trying to set up this podcast. Here's the deal. If you're talking about a career or a job or a place.
I mean, if I was still at Staples, I mean, I still would have been at the bottom. Like, I'll still would have been sous chef, like struggling probably. Like, I didn't like it. I mean, look where I'm at now. I mean, it took me to another level.
Here's the deal. Like when you want to, and this is my best Jocko impersonation, you want to find yourself and you want to get yourself to the next level. You need to put yourself in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're going to put yourself in an uncomfortable position, it needs to be uncomfortable. So like when you showed up at like Staples, it was uncomfortable, but you knew right away it was not for you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. But like, I think the tricky part is finding out what's uncomfortable and what's not for you.
Yeah.
And like when you go home at the end of the night and you ask yourself, can you go back tomorrow? And you say, no.
That's when you know. That's when you know. I mean, like, I still look forward to going to my job every day, like right now. Like, I love the people I work with, love the environment and all that. I think that's the most important.
Okay, good. Good. Because I hope that answers the question for you, Jordan. I mean, I've been in positions where like I've driven home crying.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to admit that.
Yeah.
Like I found myself leaving work and I was like,
feel like shit.
Yeah, man.
Like they just fucking
yeah, they
down.
won.
Yeah.
They won. Like the people, they won.
Yeah.
And I could not I couldn't believe that they beat me so easily.
Yeah.
That's what really fucked me up.
But you take that experience and you fuck them up and like, hey, look what I got next to the next level. Like, I'm above that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I do agree with Victor. Victor says, I've heard that many a times. It wasn't for me. He not agree. like, it's not like if you would have made a decision to leave and you would have found yourself working at a diner and making $12 an hour in some shithole Waffle House. Like, I'm not saying a Waffle House is a shithole, but I'm saying, like, you're making $12. You're not making the money you're making now. Maybe it would have been a different conversation.
Yeah.
And for me, like, there's so many times when I bit off more than I can chew. There's so many times where Gina would call me and be like, what are you doing? And I would be like, fuck, I still need to do all of the food that I said I was going to do for tomorrow night. And there's no way I can pull it off until I cook until like 4 a.m.
Yeah. There's a lot of times that happen to us too. Like,
yeah, but that's different than not feeling it.
Yeah.
That's different than letting them beat you. Like, there's a distinctive cut of the pie that makes you go, this fucking thing is not for me.
Yeah.
Like, when you were at Staples, you felt it.
Yeah.
And I've worked with you long enough because if you worked with me, if you worked for me, I'm a fucking, like, I can be an asshole. I'm a psycho, right?
Like we can all be assholes.
Yeah, like, we can all be assholes, right? Yeah. But, like, you put up with that. You dealt with, like, what the fire was, and you executed whatever we were trying to do, and then you moved forward. And,
like, I know your level asshole versus other people assholes. Like you're trying to do better for me, like, but other people, like, they're straight assholes. Like, I know the different level of assholes, so I mean, everybody has their own different.
I think you're speaking of me, so I won't speak on it. But, like, when you showed up at Staples and you're like, this piece of sandwich is not the sandwich that I want to eat for the next 6 months, and you went and you did something else, it puts you in a different spot that allowed you to execute on a different level, where you're like, oh shit, this is exactly what I was looking for at the exact right time. But if you would have stayed at Staples and ate the dog shit, you might not have ever found it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we struggle with the most inside our business is, like, how much shit are you supposed to eat? Because everybody you work with says there's a ton of shit on your plate that you have to eat. But you chose not to eat it for as long, and you found a place that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And that's the nuance that makes it tough for a lot of people that do what they do, because they really need to look into it. Like, look at Eric. Eric's like, if you don't love it, don't fucking do it. Yeah. Exclamation point. Exactly. But, like, what is it, Eric? That's the tricky part. The tricky part is, like, are you defining it with your definition? Or are you defining it with the definition that works for Paul or for me or for, like, because I've talked to people and I carry a huge chip on my shoulder, right? Like, I still want to be a Michelin star chef. I still want to be the stand-up comedian, and it like, but you don't have to eat it. Well, we all got to eat something.
Yeah.
But I still want to be that, right? So, like, when I talk to other chefs that run their own restaurant and have their own spot, I feel like I'm not as good. I'm not on the same level
as other people.
Yeah, like, they're above me.
Yeah.
But, like, when you really break it down, I'm running a $24 million operation.
Yeah.
And they're running a 1.6. Yeah. Is it dollars or is it responsibility?
Exactly.
Like, I'm selling a lot of beer. I'm selling a lot of hot dogs. Like, it makes a difference. So, I mean, you guys are out there. I mean, hit us up in a comment. Tell us, like, what you're looking for. Because, like, you've got 20 years difference experience. And I want to know what you're looking at. Because for me, what Paul did was right because it put you in a better position.
Yeah.
A lot sooner.
Yeah.
And I will stand on that. I'll stand on that block. I don't think you needed to stay at Staples. Even though it took me
to a different experience, you know.
Yeah, but I love the company.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know you did, and you could have learned so much more. Yeah. There's so much more that they had to offer, and like the only reason I'm good is because of that company.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's tough. What's Jordan asking? So advice on this would be awesome. Worked all the way up to an executive position and want to do it at least a year, but now the higher ups are now more concerned about money and politics. Ah, shit.
And the food quality and...
Oh, but have not got the year for the resume. Eat shit while compromising yourself? Ha 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 ha. Ah, man. Okay.
That's hard.
That's a tough one. You know, someone asked me like last week, when do you leave? Because, you know, how long do you like wait to rise up? All right. That's a great question. That's a great response. All about the ROI, right? Where are you working? What are you doing? How much money you're managing? Exactly, right? It's like let's put it on Josh, you're right. Josh is saying it. So many of these things depend on that, right? So, what was the name? Okay, Jordan. Obey. Is that a bottle of Obey? No, it's a bottle of Anderson Valley. All right, this way. Anderson Valley, Allagash, and Dragon's Blood. That's all. So, here's where we're at. You're working at a job, prestigious restaurant, and then all of a sudden, the only thing that matters is your fucking profit. And you're 6 months, 8 months in. You know, if you finish the year for 4 months, that it's going to make a huge difference on your resume. And if you finish the 4 months and then start looking for a job, it's going to put you in a different plateau, in a different spot. What do you do? Or do you just compromise yourself for 4 months or 6 months or a year?
That's a hard one.
I'll ask you to answer it from your perspective now, and then I'll answer it for myself afterwards.
I mean, 4 months goes by very quick, but at the same time, how quick? My 4 months go pretty quick, but it depends on how you feel, like if you're happy or not.
Right.
If the money's worth it. I mean, for me, if I wasn't happy, I would leave, but it just depends on the person. So I can't speak for others. It's kind of hard.
So that's the toughest way to answer it, and I'll answer it from my perspective now. Like, I've done so much, right? Like I've worked these crazy hours. I've tried to figure out these large events. I've tried to understand them. And the one thing that bothers me the most is the fact that I can't tell sometimes if it was worth it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, and what's so weird about the question that was just answered? Like, I can't tell if it... Okay, grander scheme of things, the culinary world and all of that, I can't tell. I have to break it back down to me granular. I have to go to like the shit like this down into the grit of me. I've made an enormous amount of mistakes. I've made some serious stupid fucking decisions. And like, for me, I hate that. If I could go back and change them, I would. But the decisions, the poor accusations, got me. It's got me to where I'm at.
Yeah.
And it's allowed me to answer your questions later in life to keep you from making the same decisions. So do I beat that up? No, maybe not. But here's where I'm at. You wanna be the best? you want to climb to the next level,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You got to do what you got to do.
It just depends if you're happy or not.
I can promise you right fucking now, if I would have stayed at Norman's when I worked at Norman Van Aken's for fucking the 2 nights and cut my value, I was making like $14 an hour, and he's like, I can only pay $11.25 an hour, or whatever it was. It would have changed my career.
I think everybody, to be honest, if I still stayed at Staples or where the fuck I'm at,
yeah,
we still would have been sous chefs and all that bullshit. I mean,
oh, for sure.
Exactly. So, I mean, all the decisions we make, if you leave now, I mean,
I think that if you would have stayed at Staples, it would have been completely different. I'm gonna get Jaden to get you some water. I think you would have had a different experience because you would have done a Grammys.
Yeah.
But I think if I would have gone back to my house when I was crying, like on a fucking it wasn't Derby, it was like Breeders' Cup or something when we were moving in. Like I was totally like jacked, right? Like I needed to be at 2 places at once, and it was the worst part. His glass is empty. Pour him another. Yeah, I'm getting him some water. But I think if I would have stayed at that time, like if I would have left, I would have been remorsed. I wouldn't have finished the journey. That was the journey I needed. And that's what's so fucked up. Because, like, I can't, like, out of the 105,000 followers that we have, or 2 million, whatever you want to call it, whatever our volume is. Like, right now we've got, I think this is 13 people watching us. How hard is it going to be for us to personally connect and tell them based on their life experience what they need to do? Because being a chef is so vulnerable at the same time, right? Look at what Eric says. Was a banquet chef for Sea Pines for 8 years. Sea Pines is over in East Coast. Like I think it's in Georgia somewhere. Running great numbers, executive committee, great, but it destroyed him. At 50, after 35 years being a chef, quality of life becomes more important. I can't argue with that.
I can't. I mean, I see it now. Like it's hard. It's hard. Like you don't get a life outside of work.
No,
you're doing 20 hours a week. 20-hour days a week. I mean,
yeah. You're going to the gym just so you can stay healthy, just so that your heart's in good shape because you got to battle your heart situation, right? Nope. Or you're on medication. Nope. You got to look out for your kidneys because they need to be clean.
Yep.
You can only do one of these shift drinks every like 3 weeks. I'm just fucking with you, but like you want to stay healthy.
Exactly.
And what's messed up is that we don't ever put our life, like our health, before our job.
Our jobs, because we're so dedicated to it.
And you know what put me on the perspective of doing that was like Laney.
Yeah.
Right? Like, whoop. It was a slow down.
Our Carlos.
Yeah, our Carlos. Yeah, like Carlos and then like Laney. Like we've all got these battles. We got all these sicknesses that we need to deal with. And I think slowly I'm realizing like rest is what we need.
Yeah.
And like recently, I don't know if you saw that, but like on YouTube, one of the comments was I work at a 3-star Michelin restaurant outside of London. I get 3 days off a week and I get paid more than most, and we get 3 meals a day. And I was like, when I did my Facebook Live, I was like, listen, there, motherfucker, that's fantastic. Yeah, but some of us like don't get that. We don't get that. We get what we get. And why should we settle for it?
Yeah.
I think I think that's the big thing. We're going to have to figure out what we need to settle for. Like, what do you want to settle for? Like, I told him on that Facebook Live, Paul, I was a little aggressive. And I was like, okay, here's the deal. You used to work in the restaurant business? Fantastic. You don't like what we do? Then don't follow us anymore.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. If you're upset, that's fine. If you want to tell me that you're happy that you went back into the fucking the private sector and you work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday,
do your thing.
Do your thing, but don't follow my channel anymore.
Whatever makes you happy.
I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah.
Hit unfollow, because if you comment again, I'm gonna block your ass. I'm done with you. I'm done. Uncle Tony. I don't even know what the hell that means. I think, from a Facebook Live standpoint, a podcast where we talk about some real shit. And what's funny is that, like, tonight was like Oscar night.
Yeah.
Right? Jose Andres is talking some mad shit. We don't even know what he said. It was like mise en place your life or something, right? Like Logan told us about it. We've had an amazing amount of good beer. We started with the Allagash White.
No, we started with Stella.
Oh, yeah, we had some Stellas, and then we had some Allagash, and then we had some Dragon's Milk, and then we finished it off with Anderson Valley Bourbon Barrel Stout. We talked about where you started, where you're going to finish, and how you're going to get there. We still didn't discuss where you're going to go next, because right now
we still don't know.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Yeah. In 5 years, like, we don't know where we're at.
Hey, guys, if you could jump in on me, if you get an opportunity, I want you to follow us on YouTube, hit us up on Snapchat, because that's where Paul's at. I need to get better at posting on Snapchat. I promise you, Paul, I'm gonna do that. Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. I mostly get up in some Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to start focusing on Snapchat, because I know that's
it's
where
hard.
that live.
I don't even do Snapchat, to be honest. And
it's hard, right? Yeah, it's hard, right? You guys can hit us up on some questions, comments, or concerns if you want us to say anything. Oh, Uncle Tony. He was sick and burned out. Okay, I got you, Gerardo. I appreciate you commenting. I love the fact that we were able to figure out how to go Facebook Live. I think we're going to do more of this. We're going to see more of Paul. We're going to attack some of those new issues. I mean, we got a 20-year age difference from starting out to finishing. I think it's a great avenue for us to explore. If there's anything we missed that you'd love to hear about, I would love to hear from you. As always, I'm Chef JoJo with Extreme Culinary Outfitters. You can go to extremecularyOutfitters.com. You can get some of the best gear, in my opinion, that you could possibly put on your back or in your head.
Feels comfortable.
Yeah, that's that new shirt. That's that knife cage with Extreme Culinary Outfitters. I'm wearing a hoodie and that black camo, and I'm wearing a trucker stop cap with the clean cut. I want you guys to wear our product on your night out or under your coat when you're working. We have some great performance gear. The reason why I started this is because I feel like our industry needs a spokesperson and a brand that we all recognize with, and it's not one that beats us down, but it lifts us up. And if you're not lifting us up, then we don't have time for you. And as always, I'm Chef JoJo with Extreme Culinary Outfitters, and cheers, Paul. Thank you for doing a 2-part series of Leave It on the Line with Facebook and YouTube Live and God knows what else. This is just the beginning, my friend. Cheers.